Welcome in. It is day 100 and you're speaking with the Meeples Champion. And it is October 18th. And to celebrate our official entering into the triple digits, we're bringing out a small game. Yes, we are not going to go big today. We're going to go small, simple. I'm bringing in a fun Halloween themed game that is based on roughly a game I knew growing up called Palace. Other people have called it Castle, and I've heard other names I can't recall right now. But it was a game that we used to use the 52 card deck, but then we found it in Halloween theme, and I thought, well, here's a great way to play it. So that game is called Ghooost. Ghost is quite simple. The idea is that everybody's going to be dealt 4 cards. And then we're going to have an area for our mansions. Depending on player count is how many cards go in your mansion. Then you're going to have your crypt, your graveyard, and your discard. And the idea is that we're going to be trying to get cards into your graveyard or your cemetery. And to do this, you have to play a card equal to or higher than the value. Now, there are some special cards mixed into your decks, so that might allow you to do something outside the norm. But in general, you have to play a card equal or higher than, and then the next player goes. Now, you can play more than one, and if you do, and that means both if you play one and it matches a card on the top, or you play 2, then that counts as basically a jump. You're going to go, I play, and then you play again. And if you can't beat the top, you're going to have to draw the whole pile to your hand. So this includes you play 2, so you're going to have to be aware at times it might be smarter to just play the 1. Then, if you play 3, it's the same setup, but if you play 4, not only does 4 destroy the whole pile, sending everything to the discard, it also can be played no matter what the number is. So if the number is set at 5 and you have 4 of a kind of 3s, you can play them. You're allowed to play them despite not having enough for the number. Now, once you have completely filled up from your hand, you now get to play from your mansion. Meaning when it gets to your turn, you don't get to look. You draw the top card and you insta-play it. If the card is equal to or higher than, you're good. It goes to the next player. If not, you draw the whole thing to your hand. You keep doing this until eventually you've emptied out your mansion. Now, again, this is going into your graveyard. And if at any point you get to the point where the graveyard, you've completely emptied your hand, you've completely emptied your mansion, the graveyard's there, and the crypt is emptied, now you have won the game. But until that crypt is emptied, you don't win the game yet. The cards can keep coming out of there. Once you're done with all of that, that's how you determine your winner. Now, this is a pretty simple game. It's fun. You can play this in a couple minutes. It doesn't take very long. It's a fun game for me, playing with both the levels of my parents, my wife, and my friends, and with my younger sisters when they were on the younger side. So I really feel this was one that is great for family get-togethers in this month. Even better, you're talking like Halloween night and you're giving out candy and you got 1 or 2 people at the house with you and you're looking for something to do. This is a great thing to pull out and be able to play during the night. Some people enjoy to do the movie. I usually do that, put on a scary movie while I'm handing out candy, but it's nice to have a game option. And it's unlikely you're going to get enough people for a big game, so a small game kind of fits in there. But we've talked enough about what the game itself is. Why don't we jump into our 7 categories and see where this lands? The art's nice. This is a pretty simplistic box. It's meant to really grab the attention more of kids or, people on the younger side, or if you are an adult or an experienced player, just let you know from this that this is not a complex game. And the art of the cards is really nice inside as well. I think that this sells what it is. Hey, we're not getting ourselves into a big, crazy, over-the-top game. This is going to be simple, but it's going to be fun. Thumbs up. The components are broken down to just really 2 things, although I will give it credit for 3. The first is the cards. The cards are primarily everything in this. So you've got to make sure that the cards are made well. I like these. These are a little bit bigger cards, and I really enjoy when I get decks like this. I have another game that's from the same company, and the cards are really well put together. They're going to last a long time. They're not going to wear easily. Then you've also got some little cardboard discs that represent your mansions, and everybody has one of those for a 6-player game. And then you've also got the box itself. Now, unlike other games, this box actually is a little bit on the magnetic side. It actually will pop open, and it sets up your whole player board so that you have your decks here, and then you have your discards over here. It's a really nice little setup, and I think that this does a really good job of helping to add to the game, and a lot of games don't do that with their box, so that's a huge thumbs up on the components. This game is not hard when it comes to price. Now, when it comes to availability, this is not a massively popular game. You're not going to go and just find this anywhere. But around this time of year, you probably will see this in a Barnes & Noble and maybe in a Target. It's not going to be there most of the year, but right around October, you might see them hit a few in just to help with the theme. And same thing with regular board game stores. I think most of the year, you might find this in like 1 out of 5. But right around October, you might see that it bumps up to 2 or 3 out of 5 because they kind of get a little bit of stock in to prep for this time of year. So it's available, but you're not paying much for this. This is a max value of 15. It's probably closer to 12. And I think that if it wasn't for the box, I would be like, oh, why is it more than 10? But they do put a lot into this box, and I really feel that this is a big plus to the game. So thumbs up on that price. The difficulty is not difficult at all. The game does exactly what you're hoping it does. It's a simple game that if you have a couple kids who want to play, they can pick it up, play it, easy. If you have some adults who are looking to play with kids, hey, you can enjoy the game. There's a little bit of playmanship there. It's not like you can strategize too far out, but you do have some options for strategy there. And it's not too hard to just play through the game and get to the end in like 5, maybe 10 minutes. Easy there. Yes, this is not going to be a game that grabs the attention of an expert or an experienced player most of the time. But this isn't meant for those kind of game nights. This is meant for some downtime. This is meant for Halloween night while you're passing out the candy. This is meant for, hey, we had some kids get together after school on, in October, maybe even September or November. And this is just a game you pull out and you toss on the table to keep everybody kind of all put their attention together for like 10 minutes. It's not meant to be a big game. It's meant to be a easy to get to the table game. And for that reason, the difficulty to me is perfect because kids and beginners can play this and enjoy it, and experienced and expert players can play with their kids or can play for just a little themed get-together night. So thumbs up. So the replayability is, this is not a game you're going to play a lot during the year, but in the fall, specifically in October, it's a game you're going to pull out and you're going to play it probably a few times in a row, or it's going to be a game that you just use as a, hey, my kid has it, and when they're waiting for the bus, they pull this out at the school and they play with a friend inside, or when we're at lunchtime, you pull it out and you play at lunch together. Well, when it's getting at home and we're doing some family nights together, we might play this game after dinner easily. It's meant to be just an easy play to kind of set the theme. Pull it out when you're all getting together and you're making some cookies, or you're making maybe homemade, something special that you do for Halloween. I tend to be at my house that once October hits, we start to make our cookies, and it just is the toppings and a shift on maybe the flavors of what you're making for October, November, December. October tends to be a little bit more sugar cookie with like the orange sugar on top to make your little pumpkins. But we'll pull it out and be like, hey, let's all make cookies together. And the family's making cookies, and as they're making it, a couple kids to the side pull out a game and play. And this is the kind of game we'd play. So I think replayability, especially in the fall, big thumbs up. Your keys to victory are, obviously, your point is to empty out your hand and your mansion. Now, the way to get there is to really think ahead about what cards should you spend. If you're not paying attention, then all you're doing is saying, oh, I'm going to spend the next high level card. So if there's a 4 out there and I have a 4 or 5, I'll play that. But if you are paying attention, you might realize, like, hey, you know what? I've actually been slowly gathering up like the 2s, and I'm never going to spend them, because my plan is to try to get it so that when somebody else drops a 2, I can grab it and eventually get 4 of a kind and I can play it out of order. Or I have a special card and I know that's going to let me come back in and do something. You know, I'm trying to target ways to easily get my hand size down, to easily get into my mansion and get it out without even having to try. If I can do a guaranteed 4 of a kind, play another card, I'm playing from the mansion, and now I don't have to beat a number, well, that's a great strategy. So you have to prep yourself to get there. I think that the keys to victory are all about just understanding how can you get certain cards to hand, how can you gather doubles, how can you use the cards properly. There's strategy there, and there's definitely a way to win. But there's a lot of luck that comes with this, and it's the mitigation of understanding how to mitigate that luck to a little bit of strategy that's mixed in. So I'm going to give it a thumbs up, but with the understanding that it's just not a lot there when it comes to the keys. So you just have to use what you can well. The unique factor is that this game is not unique. As I said, growing up, we played multiple games. I played a game called Palace, and then I had friends who were a little bit more from like the middle of the country, and over there they called it Castle. And I know I heard at least one other name, but I forget what it was. And these were all 52 card deck games where they would say like, okay, here's your 52 card deck, same concept, it has to be same or higher. If you get the 4 of a kind, it clears. If you get the doubles, it lets you go again. You know, there were certain cards, I think 10 was an auto clear and 2 was always like a, you could skip with this card. So there were things mixed in for special cards as well. This is just that with a theme thrown on top. Outside of that, there's nothing extra here. And so I feel that this game, while it's great that they threw the theme on it, and while I'm happy to own it, this is not unique in any way. So it's a thumbs down there. Overall, what do I think of this game? I think this is a fun little game. I think it's good for families. I think it's good if you have kids in your family that's probably like 6 or older really could start to play this. 10-year-olds easily can play. But if you get like kindergartners, first graders, second graders, they're right at that range where this is probably going to be a game that the theme will really grab them. It's not scary, it's just Halloween themed, and they're going to enjoy it, and they're going to understand how to play it. And I think that parents will enjoy playing it. I think that you can be able to play with your friends if you're just looking for a relaxed night. I really think this is one that you should definitely add to your collection. And if you're just looking for a game to add that has that Halloween theme, don't even play it first. Just buy it. This is too easy and it's too cheap to worry about that. If you see the game, just pick it up and go, okay, let's go, we'll play. There you go. There's no need to overthink it. But that's just my opinion. It's up to you guys to get out there, hit up your graveyards, check out your ghosts, and decide, is this the spooky night game for you? Well, you have been talking on day 100, and we've been speaking about the game Ghooost. And you've been speaking to the Meeples champion. Like, share, subscribe, and check down below in the description where I'll be adding in an Amazon link. So if you're interested, you can pick this game up for yourself. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.